Hey guys, if you're anything like me, you have a lot of Lego 9-volt wire that's just trash. This stuff kind of starts to turn white and gets brittle and just falls apart and flakes all over the place. It's just no good anymore and it could short out, so you don't want that. So today I'm going to show you a couple tricks to actually doing the connectors, as well as an easy way to do sensors. And the main part that I wanted to share today is the wire that I found. It works really well. I've tried several different types of wire and there was always some kind of drawback, but I think I've finally found the perfect wire. It's a little somewhat expensive. We'll get into that later, but if you have the same problem, stay tuned and we'll get started. Okay, so first things first, we got to choose some replacement wire. This is a wire I started using years ago, just because it kind of works. I'm not crazy about the aesthetic of it, but it does kind of fit through the guides that are molded into some of these pieces. It works, just not great on the color. If you need a really long run from one side of the layout to another or something, or long train wire or something, go for it. But I've been looking for a replacement for I don't even 7 or 8 years. I got this the other day. This is from BNTechGo, and it's got the white line through one side, which I'm not crazy about, but it doesn't really fit either. These are all 24 gauge, but the insulation, the size of the insulation, the thickness of it is what holds this wire back. Like, that's not going to work. I think I've done maybe 1 or 2 sensors with this wire, and like even this piece like bulges out at the top and it looks kind of weird. So that was kind of a failed experiment. But then this came in. This is the BNTechGo 24 gauge ribbon cable, and it's ultra flexible silicone insulation, and it just works so well. Like, I made these 2 yesterday. I like that it's pretty flexible, and you can even kind of train it to keep its shape, and it works really well. And then of course, if you have a motor, oh come on, get in there. You do have to kind of push it down, but that's actually how most of the Lego wire was. It was just the slightest bit oversized, and then it stays in pretty well. So it's absolutely perfect for that. I bought the 6 conductor version. It just seemed to be the most cost effective. This was $33 for 25 feet, which sounds expensive. When you get down to it, you're paying 44 cents per foot, which isn't that bad, because for each section of this you cut, you're going to get 3 pairs out of it. And then again, one of the pairs is going to have that gray line, which isn't quite as bad as say this one. One's a little not quite as noticeable, but it just works great. So all right, let's get to repairing some connectors. Okay, so let's start repairing our first wire, and this is what we're here to fix. This stuff, I mean, if you move it around, I mean, it just shreds to pieces, and it seems to happen with time. It doesn't even seem to be like they've been stored in heat or something like that. So this is trash. Just throw it away. The longer it's around, the more flakes you're gonna get all over the place. I think the only reason I have bags of these wires that I've saved, I guess, just to put in a video. I really need to throw it all away. So these are the connectors. You've got these 2 clips here, and that's what you're trying to unclip. And then you've also got this little piece here, and you want to avoid breaking that because it's very easy. So that's why I do it the way I do. This is an iFixit, not sponsored, 2.5 millimeter flathead bit. And what I do is just go in right here and then just turn to the right, and you should push this part out while pulling this part up. You can see it's already out, so let's do the other side. This time turning to the left, so you're putting pressure on the bottom, not on the top, so you don't break that little clip. It's a little harder because I can't see it. There we go. All right, now once you've got it unseated, you can go in through the holes. That's why I use this bit, and just kind of push it up the rest of the way. Once you get to a certain point, you can just go through the center here and push it on out. And you'll have this in there. Wow. And throw that away. You don't need it anymore. I'll go ahead and do the other side real quick here. But that's the little piece I'm talking about. That part right there. It's very easy to break if you're not careful. And I've also found that some of these connectors come apart super easy, and some of them seem very stiff. They don't want to. This part doesn't want to bend out. I don't know what it is. If they use different, I don't know, plastic formulas over the years. Just some of them seem tougher than others. So if you have a bunch of them and one's giving you trouble, just grab another one and use it. Gross. All right. This is actually the second time I'm recording this, just because the other videos ended up being 30 minutes long and not the greatest on focus and everything. All right, so I'm gonna do just maybe I'll do like a medium-sized wire this time. Cut it like that, and then once you've got it apart, it just pulls apart like string cheese, which is like really satisfying. And then it usually has a curl to it, but if you just kind of do this number, you can straighten it out. Perfect. Okay, hopefully I'm not too close where I start losing focus, but you just want to lay your wire across, and you want a little bit of overlap here. Not much, but just a little bit. Once you've got it there, use your screwdriver and push it in. Don't push too hard because you can break through the insulation depending on the wire you're using. You want it to go all the way down, and then bend it out. I think I might have damaged the insulation a little bit, but it might be alright. Now you've got the top part, and there's still some remnants from before. And you just want to get these tabs as straight as possible. Still insulation coming out of here. That's probably about good. And then just set it on top. Make sure you don't move your wire any. Okay, that wasn't that clean, but you're just going for a nice clean push on it from the center, and make sure it goes smoothly. I forgot my brick separator again. Okay. And once you turn it over, you might notice that side's bulging out a little bit, and like back here. So I just push down like that. There we go. All right, that looks good. And before you do the other side, we're going to test this. All right, so now we're going to test our wire. So we'll set our multimeter to continuity test. And you don't have to strip the wire on the other side. You can just kind of push it against here. So we'll do this side first. Looks good. The other side. Good. And just in case, check for short. go short. All right, so that side's done. Now I can throw together the other side real quick. These are a little bent. All right. And I always keep the polarity straight like this. If you're following directions to build a set, it just makes things a little bit easier to have the polarity not be questionable. Even if I was doing a cable 10 foot long, I'd still make sure that the polarity was correct. And all you really need to do is make sure, you know, the side studs up on one side needs to be studs up on the other side. All right. I might have a little bit too much overhang over here, but we're just going to go for it. Flip it over. Push down the four corners there. All right. And now we'll do a test with it on there. So first, no short. And I do kind of recommend, I forgot to do it this time, once you have one end on and you know that it's good and not shorted, you can use a 2x2 plate or something like that. Just put a piece on there so you know that that side's good. Because if you get both sides on and then you have a short, you don't know which side to take off. I've definitely done that before. That's one side good. And that's the other side good. We have a, just like new, Lego 9-volt wire. So that's that. Now we'll go on and we'll repair a sensor. Okay, so we'll reach to the old bag of wires. Let's do a rotation sensor. And you can tell this one's real bad. Man, that is rough. All right, so first cut the end off here. And on this side, I'm going to leave about maybe half an inch. I'm purposefully leaving too much, and then some of it will be cut off. Throw that in the trash. And you guys already know how to do this part, so I'll skip that. So let's go straight to the sensor here. So we want to get all this rubber off, and you want to be sure that you don't get your wires mixed up. I mean, they're kind of twisted. It should be fairly obvious, but sometimes the odd strand will get away and then it might look like it went to the other side. So that's why I'm stripping a little bit more, and then just give them a good twist. Make sure each side stays together. Okay, I think this I can twist a little more down towards the bottom. You got to make sure that's twisting towards the bottom because that's what you're going to be using. So now that we've got that, I'm going to cut it shorter. And you don't really need that much. Maybe just about like that. Okay, it's not. There we go. And of course that side's coming untwisted. Alright, that's fine. Alright, now we'll break out the soldering iron. I'm going to move the base plate so I'm not soldering over the base plate. We'll keep going. Okay, so we've got the soldering iron heated up, and I'm using a motor just to give a little more weight because this thing will flop around while you're trying to work with it. especially if you have a tripod between you and what you're working on. And speaking of soldering, some people, when they take these apart, they'll actually solder them inside. That might be better, I guess. I've always just used the original method, and I've never had one be bad. Like, you'll know immediately if it's a bad wire, and other than that, it should be fine for a good amount of time. And when you're soldering, you're really heating up the wire itself and then adding the solder to the wire. The number one mistake people make is just globbing solder onto the iron and then dropping it onto what they're working on, and that's not how you get a solder joint. You want to heat up the wire for maybe a couple seconds, then go in with your solder, and you can kind of work it up and down with the iron to try to get it smoothed out. Yeah, that should be fine. I don't know, I could cut a little bit of that off. No, we'll just leave it. Alright, now I've got the other piece of wire that I just made, and I've already tested it with a multimeter. And for these, we are going to use wire strippers to strip these. And of course, you know what, I'm just going to, I'd already separated those. Just cut it down a little bit. Alright, and you don't need much, just a little bit. And once you've got them stripped, you can split them apart. So it's easier to strip before you split them apart if you want to do them with those style wire strippers. And just keep twisting, make sure it's nice and straight and uniform. There we go. Let's see if I can get this in this shot. Yep. So we're going to start on this side by tending these wires as well. Alright, got that. And this is the heat shrink I'm using. Just tried to find the smallest heat shrink I could find. And let's see, is that gonna be long enough? Should be. This is the most important tip in any soldering video. Put your heat shrink on first. I usually tend the wires first, but before you actually join the wires, because once you got them together, there's no way to get the heat shrink on there. I can't tell you how many times I have done that. And then again, we're going to keep the polarity straight, so studs up that way, keep the wire straight, just like that. For these sensors, they're active sensors, so they are powered, but there's a bridge inside here, so it can run on either polarity, but it will affect the direction of the rotation if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time, but I'm pretty sure that's the difference with these. And you're just going to try to heat up both at the same time. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but alright, now I don't know why this wire is so much longer on this side. Let me just trim just the tiniest bit off the end. I want it to be straight. Sometimes you can just get them started and then kind of get in a better position, just like that. There we go. Make sure you hold on to it for a couple seconds just to make sure it cools down and gets a good bond. I think we're good. As long as I didn't, if you get your wires too hot, it will start shrinking the heat shrink, which it did here. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna keep trying here. Maybe I can get the little piece off, and then as long as you can get the heat shrink to go down all the way to the very end, then we're good. Okay. I thought I was gonna have to start over with this guy. All right, that's actually perfect. And you don't want to use your lighter for this. This is definitely a time to use a proper heat gun, so don't melt your fingers. And this mat is fine with a heat gun, it's not going to hurt it. Beautiful. And you do kind of lose the ability for the wire to go, you know, through straight up through the slot like it could with the other wires. But I mean, really, that was one of the things that damaged the old wires anyways. The sharp turns like that. And there you go. You have a repaired sensor. And I'm actually going to make a completely separate video for testing sensors. You definitely want to test it once you get it together, just to make sure. But I'm going to be testing a lot of other elements, so it'll just, it's a little out of scope for this video, but you'll want to do it whenever you make your own, just to be sure. So be sure to check that out. All right, guys, thanks for watching.